Hey, it's just a quick warning. If you didn't defeat the final boss yet or haven't got there and you don't want to be spoiled what you get, then yeah, come back to this video at a later time. Did you click off? Are you still here? All right, let's get into it. Congratulations on clearing the final boss. You finally get to pick one of his weapons, but which one do you choose? Which one is better? Well, I think one of them definitely is very powerful, and I made a Radahn themed build around it. This is what I came up with. Hey everybody, Ronan here, back with another build video. This time is for those that defeated the final boss of the game, Promised Consort Radahn. You get his weapons and his armor, and this is a themed build revolved around his armor. You could obviously do more damage if you equip other armor pieces, but I wanted to keep the theme because I just think it looks badass. Now, when it comes to my stats, I want you to keep in mind this character started out as an astrologer, so I have one extra point of intelligence that I didn't want. So if you start out as a different character, like a vagabond for example, you could actually save yourself a few points and put it elsewhere as needed. The stats I have are very specific for the gear that I'm using. I have just enough load in order to not have fat rolls. If I start to equip like a shield or anything else, I will fat roll. So do keep that in mind. What you see on screen now for my medium load, my endurance rating, and everything else is so I can use the exact items you see on screen. So I have my vigor 48. I usually go 45 for some builds, but because I do tank a lot of hits with this build, I wanted slightly more, so I think 48 is a nice medium ground. Mind is 16. I wanted 16 mind. That way I could use my Ash of War 3 times without actually needing to use a pot. And the Ash of War combo is just out of this world for damage. Endurance we have for 30 because it takes a lot of stamina to use his weapons and the Ash of War combo in general. So you want good stamina, but this also helps out your equip load. And as mentioned, I have just enough equip load to not fat roll. Strength and dexterity. Strength is 50. Dexterity is actually 45. The reason it's 50 is because I have this talisman that will give me an extra 5 dexterity. And that's mainly because the weapons are quality. They scale with C strength and dex. So I wanted to get to the point where I could have it scale really well for damage. Intelligence I have 16 because I did start out as an astrologer. Normally you would only want that 15. And faith is 15 in order to use the spell Flame Grant Me Strength. And arcane I don't utilize at all. So if you choose a class with the least amount of arcane, you can save yourself some points. Now, what makes the sword really great, specifically for the Lord version, is the Ash of War. I think the other version, Light, isn't as good. I really wish they would have just combined the two Ash of Wars in one weapon, but they didn't, so it is what it is. Now, this thing hits several times. In order to really make your amp better, there's a few things we want to do. So I'm using a dagger here. It's just for the Ash of War Golden Vow to give myself an extra attack damage buff, which does stack with the Flame Grant Me Strength. Now, when it comes to the gear, because this is a themed build, I am using Radahn's set. You could obviously use other gear if you wanted even more damage, but I wanted to keep the theme, and I have a really good amount of poise regardless. I am using the Great Arsenal's Jar. I could not get myself not the fat roll without it, so I had to use it. My 2 damage talismans are going to be MILLICENT'S Prosthesis. This will give you 5 dexterity and successful attacks that are basically just in a row. So as long as you hit the enemy multiple times quickly, you get a stacking AR buff. It goes from 4 to 6 to 11%. Well, this stacks with the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, which gives you even more damage, which is really powerful. And this will stack with something else we talk about shortly. Your optional talisman here is going to be the crest you see on screen. I like not having my skills cost as much FP, and with the amount of mind combined with this talisman, I can use the full combo 3 times without needing to utilize a potion. Without it, I would need a potion. If you don't mind using a potion, you could easily use Shard of Alexander or anything else that you want for extra damage. When it comes to my physic here, the reason I like my physic the way it is because of the stacking buff that it does with the other stuff. So if we take a look at my physic here, this right here, the Thorny Crack tier, will stack with the other 2 talismans that we talked about, giving you just massive AR buffs. I got over 4,000 AR with this build. Once I got everything stacked, it was a ton of damage. I like using the Green Burst Crystal tier because this will give you a lot of stamina recovery, and the combo does take a lot of stamina. If you don't want to use this and you want to use something else for defense or more offense, then feel free. The Great Rune I'm using is Millennia's Great Rune. The reason for this is because I tank a lot of hits. You have a lot of hyper armor during the Ash of War. You have a lot of poise, so you're going to take a lot of damage. But you heal up all that damage using this rune, which I like a lot. Now the combo, which I think is really fantastic because it also has true hits in PvP as well for certain parts of it, it just does a ton of damage, and it looks like this. Yeah, you know the combo that you fight the boss against? You literally get that as an Ash of War, and all those attacks of light, they actually hit multiple times. So although you're attacking fairly slow, because the light hits hit multiple times on enemies, stacking the AR buff that we talked about from everything else stacks extremely quickly. If you're fighting enemies that are a little thicker and a little larger, you will get it to max stacks super quick. Now, of course, if you don't care about that and you would rather go with a different setup, feel free. But this is a setup I'm using for a ton of damage that I think is just a blast. I absolutely love it. And what's really great about this build as well, if you wanted to utilize any other type of weapon that is going to be quality, you can, and you can easily switch weapons if you want. I'm Ronan. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. One thing I forgot to mention, the Ash of War seems to scale from all stats. It looks like it gets a little bit more damage from intelligence, but increasing strength and dexterity will also increase its damage as well, which is why I ended up going quality, because strength and dex increases your overall damage for your melee hits in general and does help out the Ash of War regardless. I'm Ronan. Like and subscribe if you're new, comment down below what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys next time.